What happens at the moment of death? When we explore basic biology, we observe that our body begins the process of decomposition. The heart stops beating and the brain shuts down. At least, that's what we're accustomed to witnessing externally. However, there are cases where this isn't the whole story. Many people have experienced near-death experiences, describing visions of a bright white light, a sensation of detachment from the body, encounters with deceased loved ones, and the experience of reliving memories of their lives. This phenomenon, known as a near-death experience, has long challenged science. Are these experiences related to psychological defense mechanisms, or are they spiritual manifestations? Could these stories suggest that death is reversible? While we don't have definitive answers, we can explore this theme further. Here are 5 impactful accounts of near-death experiences that may challenge your beliefs. 1. Colton Burpo. At just 3 years old, Colton Burpo suffered a ruptured appendix, which led to a life-threatening infection spreading through his body. Rushed to the hospital, his parents feared for his life. After a successful surgery, Colton returned home, but it wasn't until 4 months later that his parents discovered he had lived through a unique experience in the operating room. Colton described seeing Jesus, dressed in a white robe, with marks on his hands and feet. He also mentioned meeting his deceased grandfather, known as Mr. Pop, who was kind and used to work on the family farm. The most surprising revelation came when Colton told his mother about a sister who had passed away in her womb. This touching story was turned into a book titled, Heaven is for Real. 2. Rita Isabel Rohr. A teacher from southern Brazil, Rita shared her near-death experience during the birth of her daughter. The surgery was risky because Rita had fallen down a flight of stairs at 8 months pregnant. She described lying on the stretcher, feeling her body being vigorously pulled toward an intensely bright light. Soon, she found herself in a breathtaking place filled with people walking and talking. She was certain it was paradise due to the magnificence of the scene. Suddenly, she heard a voice telling her she needed to return because her children needed her. Then, she was pulled back into her body on the hospital stretcher. Shortly afterward, a nurse revealed to Rita that she had been considered dead, as her vital signs had stopped. This story remained a secret until she shared it in an interview on Globo Reporter in 2012. 3. Number 3. Alexander Eben, a 54-year-old neurosurgeon, contracted a rare form of bacterial meningitis in 2008. Just a few hours later, he fell into a deep coma that lasted for 7 days. For him, death had always meant the end of everything, an absolute void. However, it took going through this situation to completely change his perspective. During the coma, the doctor claimed to have had the most incredible experience imaginable. He said, "In my journey, there was no body, only my consciousness. My brain wasn't functioning, and I couldn't remember anything about my personal life, my children, or who I was. First, I was taken to a dark and muddy place, and then to a beautiful, serene location, a vast green valley filled with flowers and butterflies. I also saw a lovely spirit, a woman wearing simple clothing and wings." The narrative was so intense that he decided to write a book to share his experience, titled Proof of Heaven. The doctor stated that for 2 years he tried to find a scientific explanation for what happened, but eventually concluded that there was no way to explain it through mere scientific reasoning or brain activity. Number 4. In 2002, Anita Moorjani was diagnosed with cancer and went through 4 years of chemotherapy. After this period, her body stopped responding to treatment, allowing the malignant cells to spread. When doctors declared organ failure, she had an unimaginable near-death experience during her hospitalization. Anita shared, "I encountered my best friend who had passed away from cancer. I couldn't be with her during her final moments, which deeply saddened me. However, Feeling her presence was a huge relief. I had the choice to either return or continue towards death. The place was so beautiful that I hesitated to leave. However, I sensed that if I went back, my body would be healed. Then I woke up in the hospital. Anita had no idea that she had been in a coma, but she was able to describe details of the operating room, even surprising the doctor by recognizing him immediately. Her mood and health improved rapidly, and she was discharged from the hospital shortly after, with no signs of cancer remaining. Number 5. Christine Stein, a young woman who had suffered a severe car accident, was rushed to the hospital with internal bleeding and a deep cut in her artery. Doctors struggled to control the bleeding near her heart when suddenly her heart stopped beating. Christine recounted that her body was projected out of the hospital room and, without understanding how, she found herself in a bright and beautiful place. In her account, she described, "It was similar to Earth, but the colors were more vibrant and welcoming. The ground felt like it was made of cotton, and I noticed this because I wasn't wearing shoes. I heard someone calling my name and then saw 2 people, my grandparents, walking towards me. I only knew them from a few family photos, as they had passed away many years ago." The surgeon responsible for Christine's case nearly lost her on the operating table, performing multiple cardiac stimuli to stabilize her vital signs. Christine categorically stated that these were not dreams. Everything was experienced in a real way. After about 2 hours, the surgery was completed, and Christine woke up crying, something unusual in that context. Christine insisted without a shadow of a doubt that she had not dreamed these images. It was truly experienced in some form. Many people who go through these experiences report profound changes in their lives. For example, many lose their fear of death and gain a new perspective on life, becoming more compassionate, altruistic, and spiritual. Additionally, there are reports of individuals changing careers to more service-oriented fields, such as education or healthcare, while others have overcome addictions after a near-death experience, NDE. Although NDEs are often described as peaceful, the return to physical life can be difficult. Some people feel sadness or anger upon returning, and they often face misunderstanding from others who may see them as enlightened or, in some cases, be skeptical of their experiences. While some theories attempt to explain NDEs as a result of physiological factors such as oxygen deprivation or abnormal electrical activity in the brain, these explanations do not fully account for all reported aspects. For instance, accounts of encounters with deceased individuals, often unknown until the moment of the NDE, are hard to explain through purely biological hypotheses. Some theories suggest that NDEs may indicate that consciousness is not confined to the brain. Cases of people with minimal brain activity who still report rich and detailed experiences suggest that the mind may continue to function independently of the body's physical condition.